Jenny with Soul Sparklettes Art. Today we're going to create a lucky leprechaun house. Now in this drawing you get to decide what the stash of the leprechaun might be behind his door. In mine you'll see the pot of gold, but you could put anything you want back there. You could put Pokemon cards, you could put a stash of cotton candy, whatever you want. For this lesson, you're going to need some Sharpies, markers, water, a paintbrush, and some scissors. All right, gather your supplies and meet me right back here. See you soon. We're going to start our drawing. I'm going to be using Sharpie, but if you want, you could first use pencil and then trace over with Sharpie. So I'm starting from my side here, putting about 2 fingers here and then making a little mark. And I'm going to make a line that starts here and goes off the page. A little bit, could be a little wavy because this is the trunk of the tree. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing, marking it. So I have both sides now. The next part I'm going to do is add in the roots of the tree. Now to me, these kind of look like fingers reaching down or carrots. They're going to go down and go on this side as well. Then I'm going to draw a line across, and that's going to be for the entranceway for my door. Then I'm going to make the type of door that I want for this, which is going to be a rainbow line door. So I'm going to go up and around like a rainbow. And then I'm going to be adding in some windows. Now you can add any type of window you want. I'm just going to go with some circles. Also going to add a circle here in the middle of the door for a window. And I'm going to make a little door knocker. You can make a knob if you want. And making some latches or hinges, sorry, making some hinges. I'm going to add some detail into these windows. I'm going to make an X going across to show the window panes. I'm going to add a fancy rooftop to this. So I'm going to draw a line across, and this kind of looks like a witch's hat to me. It's a triangle. It's a bit curved. So I have that here. And then around the outside of my door, I'm going to be adding in these rocks. So just very slowly and carefully going around, adding in the rocks. You don't need to add rocks. You could just leave it the way it is if you would like. This part is overhanging, so it's going to cover that. And I'm going to add in some rocks going around here, creating a little frame or border for my window. Same over here. Now I get to add in some of the shingles for the roof, and I'm just going to do this by making a U line and another U line, U line, another U line, and I can vary the space in between them. I can make it bigger as I go down or smaller. You can decide. So I have some line detail there, which is the rooftop. And now I get to add in some other lines. So I'm going to think about out here on the side of my leprechaun's house, I'm going to have a couple of different clovers or shamrocks. So drawing the lines first. And then I'll draw the shamrocks. Now I found the easiest way for me is to do this heart shape and to make 3 hearts. But if you want to make a 4-leaf, you could. So I make it the heart, the heart, the heart. I have a couple clovers, and now I'm going to add in a little walkway. So I'm going to use the very tip of my marker and just making some stepping stones. I'm thinking of like slate walkway maybe, so something made out of rock. And I'm having it going off to the side here instead of straight on. And as it gets this way, it gets bigger. So it's the same line out this way, same line that way. And then they're getting bigger as they go towards you to give the illusion of space. Going to add in a little adorable acorn lamp. So all the leprechauns are really into acorn lamps. Now, if you don't want an acorn lamp and you want a different kind of lamp, then you go ahead and draw that. The next thing I need to do is add in some lines to show the texture of the tree. So I'm going to start with a line and a dot, a line and a dot, a line and a dot. I'm going to do this throughout to give my tree some texture. It makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. Now I'm going to do lines and down. Really mixing it up today. You could do a squiggle line, or you could have your own way of doing this, whatever you like. Now, after that, I just have to add in some grasses or flowers, and you could do either or both, just a couple here and there. And I think I'm ready for my color. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna outline this, just double it up. And I'm gonna make a pattern around there. Some line. All right, so here's the other option if you get to this point. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you how to do it if you want to. Add in on my door, just some dotted lines to give it a little texture. And now I want this door to be able to pop open. So I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to fold it a little bit, and take my scissors and just cut a starting cut. And then I'm going to flip it back open and finish cutting out the door. Now, I'm going to leave the door connected right here on the sides. So it's going to have a flap. You're going to push down here, flatten the flap. And this is because behind there, you're going to show the leprechaun's secret stash. So I have a piece of paper. I'm going to cut it a little smaller. And I'm going to set it right inside there. I'm going to draw. So I get to draw whatever I think is the stash. And to me, this is a pot of gold. So I'm going to make a U line here. I make another U line on the inside. And another U line that's connected, like the corners. Then I'm going to add in some feet for the pot. And now I'm going to draw different pieces of gold. You don't have to draw all the circles. You're just kind of making a suggestion that there's gold there. Now you can fill this in with the black, or you could make it a color. But but I definitely want to color it gold. I'm just going to pull this out so you can see it. And color this in. And when the person opens the door to see what the secret stash is, they're going to have a beautiful surprise. I'm going to add in some bright colors, so it's sort of glowing, a beautiful pink. And when we use our marker, we can do this part too. So after I have my crayon, use my marker, and I'm going to use the side so I get a lot of color in there. I'm going to take my paintbrush and use water, just paint right over that. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry. While this is drying, you can work on your other work. So this is where you would add in that color. And my next step is to add the color. I'm going to go back over these areas with my crayon. So I'm having some bright orange here for the windows to show that it's glowing. And I'm making some little fairies or will-o'-the-wisps out here on the sides by starting with a circle and then kind of breaking it up into a little spiral. This makes it look a little bit more magical. Adding some yellow for my acorn light and coloring in those clovers. You take your time. If you are needing more time and I'm going too fast, you hit pause, and that way you can go at your own speed without any worries. The door, I'm noticing, doesn't have texture, so I'm going to add a little texture to that too. Kind of a dotted line. Okay, so back with my marker, going to use the side of the marker, go all the way around the inside of my tree drawing to add in that brown color. If you hit crayon, you can just go around it. Okay, so that's the brown, and then I want to have in the background a bit of a darker color. So I'm going to use my plum, and this color, I'm going to add a couple more of these little fairies here. The color plum is nice because it's pretty much the opposite of that yellow color I used for my fairies. And when I add in the water and spread it around, the fairy lights are going to stand out. And the plum is just going to be soft in the background, kind of like a night sky. The more marker you add, the more color you're going to get in the final drawing. So if I just did a few lines with this purple, plum color, I would only have a little bit of color in the background, but I really want to fill in this color because I want it to look almost like night. Going on the other side. Again, I'm using the side of the marker, going back and forth, covering the page, taking my time. I would sort of avoid those crayon things that I've done. You can go over them, but just kind of skip over it. Oops. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is add in my grass. To do the grass, I'm going to find the right color. Make little dancing like this. Make a little dancing motion and let the side hit the paper. It's just making some interesting grass. Now, if you don't want to do it this way, you don't have to. I'm going to be adding water to this and spreading it around, but I just thought I'd show you this way too. All these different textures make your piece more interesting. Okay, and my door, I'm going to go over some of those lines with my marker. Go on the inside of the door, and here I have my stepping stones. I want to give it not just like plain gray, a bit of a purple color, because I want this to be a very special place. All right, so the next part is I get to add the color using water. So I'm going to use water and paint the water on top of all of these things and get the piece to glow. Okay, so I have my water and my brush. I'm going to start with the tree. I'm painting the water over the marker and just carrying it with my brush. I'm avoiding those circles, but you could paint right over them, the window circles. And you can see the little fairies are starting to glow. Okay, now I'm done with the first part of the tree. I'm gonna clean my brush and gonna work just with these little stepping stones. I'm using a smaller brush for this so it can get into the smaller area. And it will change as it dries, so the color will start spreading more. I'm gonna go in the background. Nope, I'm gonna go in the foreground and do my grass first. I'm adding the water with an upward motion. After I'm done with the grass, I'm going to go into the background and paint that in. Go right over the clovers and the fairy lights. Just pull the color down. And on the other side as well. Now, if you would like, you could use a paper towel and dab on some of the areas that you wanted the wax resist on, and that will sort of help it out, sticking out a little bit more. Remove some of that marker color. And adding a little bit of that background color there. All right, so this is this part here, and this could totally be done, but I'm going to show you another way. There's another way to do this. Instead of just leaving the door like this, you could cut open the door and put something behind and have it sort of pop out, showing you what the magical leprechaun stash is. So that's something else we're going to do. Here's the other one I did. So this door is not open. So this, I'm going to cut this one to show you how to line that up to add in your pot of gold. So I make a tiny little cut. And flap, and you can see an old drawing there. And now I'm going to get my pot of gold, and I'm going to put some, you could use tape, you could use glue. I'm just going to use masking tape because I got that handy. And you can place the paper where you want it in the door, and then tape it to the back of the page. So I have my back of the page here, my piece of paper, and I want to line this up so when they open the door, they get to see the pot of gold. So I have this here, and then I'm going to tape the back. Again, you could glue or do something else if you want to secure it. Got a little piece of tape, hold it carefully, flip it, and tape it down. Okay, so we have our pot of gold, a tree, fairies, acorn light, it's all set. Hi there, I hope you had a blast today creating with me this lucky leprechaun house. I can't wait to see what you created or what's behind your flap. See you soon.